Now, if you're thinking, how am I going to make ends meet? The cupboards are almost bare. How do I cut my spending? I want you to know that the government is there to help. Joe Biden has just pitched a $5.8 trillion budget. And included in it is the largest tax hike in history. So he's there for you. He's there for you. It'd be part of a new tax code. It raises the rates on corporations and ultra wealthy Americans. And I'm glad because I can't tell you how many jobs I've had from poor corporations and poor Americans. I met this guy who had just come here from America. He was standing out front of Home Depot with a sign. And I started talking to him, and he offered me a job. I got a job. It was well-paying, had really good benefits. It was really good. It was really good.
That's how most big tech companies start.
Sure.
From the Home Depot parking lot.
Yeah.
In the back of a truck.
Yes.
That's how the iPhone started.
They're like, this is what you do. On Saturday, you get a truck, and you drive up, and you say, who can offer me a job? And then they all get in the back of your truck and you bring them someplace and then you haggle.
2 weeks later, you have Johnson & Johnson. That's how that happens.
It's amazing. Okay, so the president laid out the tax hikes as part of his $5.8 trillion blueprint for federal spending in 2023, which begins in October. The higher taxes will be borne mostly by Wall Street and the top sliver of U.S. households. I mean, right?
Always the way it happens.
Right. The Democrats hate Wall Street and giant corporations. They just hate them, Oh, it's weird, though, how they're all lining up to do the White House's bidding. But we're going to get them this time. So he said, we're reducing the Trump deficits and returning our fiscal house to order. This budget is making prudent investment and economic growth, a more equitable economy, while making sure corporations and the very wealthy pay their fair share. Amen to that. So, let's see. He's got a $5.6 trillion budget, but his billionaire minimum income tax will raise $361 billion in revenue over 10 years. Over 10 years, $361 billion, which is only a third of $1 trillion. We're spending 5.6 in 1 year. 361 billion, 1/3 of a trillion, which is 1/5 and a half of what he's spending in 1 year. That's raised over 10 years. So I understand the math. Come on. Did you not get Common Core math? The wealthiest Americans will be required to pay a tax of at least 20%, and that'll be from the combination of wage income and whatever they made in unrealized gains. So it's really great because these people have soaring assets. The value of their assets are just going crazy. Now, yours aren't. I mean, if you own a home and you bought it 30 years ago, I'm sure it's exactly the same price as it was. Now, imagine at the end of every year, they come to you and go, hey, your house is worth $50,000 more. So we need $5,000 for you because, your house is just going up and up and up and up, and it'll never go down. So you could cough that up. What happens if your house went up, $100,000? Wouldn't it be great if they said, hey, you owe us $10,000 this year. Who knows what you'll what you'll owe next year? Because everybody has that $10,000 laying around the house, everybody's like, oh, my house could go up and I'm not going to sell it, but I should pay the federal government for what it increased. Now, there's no tax refund when your house starts to go down, but don't worry about that. This is only for the rich, the very rich. By the way, he also, because he is definitely for the police, for the police.
That one has definitely been run through the focus groups. You can tell that any opportunity he has now to say, I don't want to defund the police. What are you talking about? He now says it. They've run from that position as quickly as they should. They should have never been there in the first place.
Well, they said that he never said that. And then when you read the article, you realize, yes, he did. You just have a different interpretation. You keep using that word. I do not think you know I don't think it means what you think it means. So you've got that going. And now there's nothing better than getting the federal government to mainline our police. Having the local police just hooked on federal money. Wouldn't that be great? And they've expanded the discretionary spending, which would increase the resources for federal prosecutors. Love those guys. And give additional resources to state and local enforcement to put more police on the beat. Now, some would say, I don't really want to be addicted to the federal spending when it comes to the police, because when the federal government says the police should do something, the towns that aren't really paying for them now would go, we got to do it. Otherwise, they'll pull all the funding, and we don't have the money to keep our police. But don't worry, that's never gonna happen. Never. By the way, in there, too, is kind of some weird wording about, it's a placeholder for his Build Back Better agenda. Just like, hey, we also have this one, but I haven't had time to work it out. So just put this placeholder in the budget, which is great. Yeah. Hi, Pat. Pat Gray. Pat Gray from Pat Gray Unleashed just joined us.
Yeah, running a little late because of overtime.
Yeah, I know.
So
the games every morning are close.
Right.
Yeah. So, how much do you love this?
The new budget?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I love it so much.
Oh, really?
See,
I would think you wouldn't like it because there's a lot of spending. There's tax increases all throughout it.
I know. Just the largest in American history, though.
But you like it.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Because it's going to lower the deficit.
Really?
Did you not know that?
Yeah.
We're spending $6 trillion to lower the deficit.
The deficit. Let's make sure we understand the deficit. Definition of the deficit versus the definition of the debt.
Yeah, the deficit is the debt you run up every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the
budget shortfalls every year.
Budget shortfall. So what we don't have every year, we're reducing that. But he's the first one, and I like this. I'm the first president in history to lower the deficit by over $1 trillion in 1 year.
Yeah, that's because we never had a deficit that large before.
Yeah. Well, it's not declining because of anything that Biden did, but because the $5 trillion in COVID-19 relief funds have already been dispersed. So there's no more to go.
So ridiculous.
$5 trillion. And I'm gonna lower that by $1 trillion. I don't know. Wait. Last year it was like 2.5 trillion. You couldn't lower it by 2.5 trillion because that was all free money for an emergency.
Yeah, they're picking up the COVID spending with most of it. They're just picking up with other spending that will go on forever.
Yeah.
Right. New programs and new things like that. When Barack Obama ran for office, the budget was $3 trillion. And it went up through the Obama era, 3.5, 3.7, 3.9. Trump, take it 4 trillion, 4.1, 4.4, 4.8. And then Biden, 4.8, and then now 5.6 he wants. So if we've doubled from 2008, basically our spending. 2008.
But wait a minute. But look at how great things have gotten.
That's true.
Okay? I mean, they've gone from 3 trillion to 6 trillion. And with those 3 trillion extra dollars, things are
much better.
Do you remember the days when people used to have to say, hey, we need more money to fix our infrastructure? It's fixed now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those roads and bridges are great.
And how about the beautiful airports we now have?
The beautiful
to rival
airports.
China and Europe. Yeah, the beautiful, beautiful airports.
Everyone has health care that they're thrilled with.
Thrilled. Nobody's unhappy with their health care.
Nobody's turned away for anything.
No foreign conflicts, I'll tell you that much.
no
right. We don't have to worry about that.
No, we got that
that's
under
all
control.
Under control now.
We are on
and
track.
inflation completely under control now.
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of
Can I
all
ask
of
you a
this.
question? Why do we still listen to these people?
I don't know.
How is it that there are so many Americans, I don't care what side you're on, so many Americans who have listened to this now forever and are like, yeah, well, this time they're going to fix it. If I just elect them this time and we spend this amount of money this time, we won't have to spend this amount of money later. We'll fix it this time. I've heard that my whole life, and it's been a crisis since 2000. I can't take it anymore because it's all lies. That's why they go for the youth, because the youth is like, oh, I never heard that. Wow, that would be great. And then by the time you're 40, you're like, I can't take them. Please, somebody wake me up from this night. Is Will Smith here? Will he just slap me across the face? What is happening?
And I get frustrated with that too, but then I realize, I see the polls, and I realize there's not that many, not as many as we think that are buying this. They're not buying what he's selling.
They're seeing through this.
Yeah, they are. They're realizing that it's not Putin's fault for the inflation because it's been going on since he took office. It's not Putin's fault for the gas prices because they went up 48% year to year before the invasion. And they're starting to realize that he's a lion's sack.
Yeah, and look, there is a partisan floor with these polls. That is what? Let's say 30%. I mean, to be aggressive. You really can't go lower than that. I mean, even Richard Nixon, he's getting thrown out of office. He's at 30%. I mean, he still had a 60 or 70% approval rating among Republicans when he was thrown out of office.
That's crazy.
There's just a partisan, and I think it's much worse than that era, a partisan tilt to these polls that, his floor is probably low 30s at the worst.
30 to 35.
He's already in the high 30s, and he's falling. And he's behind every other president at this point in his administration. The only one he's close to is Trump, which of course is sort of a different situation. He came into office already, in a very conflicted place with the American people. He was never popular. He didn't get that honeymoon that most presidents get. He started in the mid 40s.
Well, he didn't have a chance with the media.
Yeah, right. I mean, that started from day one with Trump, and we know he's kind of a different president, certainly. So, but every other president in American history that we have polling on, Biden is doing worse than. And, they call Donald Trump like the worst president in history, and he's right there with Donald Trump.
Can I tell you why that's happening, though, sincerely? It's because the people have become so divisive that they just don't want a uniter like Joe Biden.
Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Well, that and Donald Trump.
Wait, why is Donald Trump brought up?
And don't forget Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, Vladimir
I don't see what he
Putin,
has to do
Donald
with-
Trump, and a little bit of Rutherford Hayes. I think just a little bit.
Damn Rutherford Hayes.
I hated
Rutherford?
Rutherford
B.
Rutherford.
Yeah.
I ran it all together.
Yeah,
It didn't
and
really.
it's wow. We're still feeling the effects of that administration.
Usually when there's a big foreign conflict like with Putin, you have a bump in your approval rating because people are like, oh, well, I'm going to side with the president. I'm going to jump in there. And it seems now he's doing such a bad job that that's not even happening. He's still falling.
Echoes of Ulysses S. Grant and his administration.
Yeah, right.
Echoes of that.
Why-
Right.
Amen.
Somebody had to say it.
Somebody had to say it. He was a Republican.
Yep.
What, do you expect to recover from that right away?
No way.